And welcome back to the channel where we talk about only good comics. I'm Brant, and this is Friday First. This is that series where we talk about those brand new number one issues, new character debuts, new story arcs, and the like. And this is for books coming out Memorial Day week, May 28th, last week of May. Kind of a not quite a fifth week event, but kind of feels like that way a little bit with some of the books that are coming out. But you know, always a good week to buy some comics, right? So, don't have a whole lot of recaps this week. I've only had a chance to read two books, two of the first issues so far. But I do have a fair amount of first for next week to talk about, even if they aren't the most exciting first. But there are a couple of gems in there, and we'll talk about it. And I just realized that my mic was in view. I just I was like, something looks different about my screen. Uh, I guess I've got my camera set up a little bit different today because my mic usually is not in view. I don't know what's going on there, but it kind of needs to be there. So hopefully you enjoyed the light show. But anyway, uh, I was gonna mention something else before I got started, and I've lost my train of thought. Huh? Oh, I know what it was. Before we get into the books and everything and talk about all this, I do want to make you aware that this coming Tuesday is the season finale of Comic Book Weekly. That is the weekly Tuesday night live show that I do with Kat Comic Uno and Mike Spider Slayer of Comic Book Corner 2.0. We've been doing the show for over 10 years and various incarnations of the show. And we didn't get a chance to do it this week because we had conflicts and so forth. But next week is our last episode for the summer. Mike teaches, or he runs like a tennis tournament. He's a tennis pro, so he runs a tennis tournament through the summer. Kat and I both have a lot of shows and conventions, that kind of thing to do. So we last year we decided to take off the summer. It worked really well for us, so we're doing it again this year. So this will be the season finale of Comic Book Weekly. So if you want to see all three of us talking comics one more time for the last time for a couple of months, definitely tune in over on Comic Book Weekly or on Mike's channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0, Tuesday night at 10:15 Eastern Time to check out the season finale of Comic Book Weekly. All right, so with that said, we're going to get into those recaps from last week. So let me pull those up real quick. First one I'm going to talk about here is The Thing, issue number 1. So this wasn't really on my radar until I realized that Tony Fleeks was writing this. Art by Justin Mason. And I'm a big Tony Fleeks fan. Feral, Stray Dogs, different things that Tony writes. I have become a big fan of his writing. So I was like, okay, well, if Tony Fleeks is writing this, I've got to check it out. Even though not my favorite solo character to follow, but I'm glad I did because I really actually like this issue. So basically, the we start off with this there being a big bounty on the Thing's head, and all these criminals going out to capture that bounty. Then we kind of go back in time and see the Fantastic Four battling in the negative zone. They come home and Ben is like, "Okay, I'm tired. I gotta sleep. Everybody, leave me alone." Somebody knocks on his door really early in the morning, and it's somebody from his childhood. He's not really happy to see, but he tells him that a buddy of his has a kid missing, or their sister's kid's missing, or something like that. And of course, Ben's like, "Okay, I know this person, the person whose kid's missing from my younger years, and they were always nice to me and everything, and it's a kid missing, so obviously I've got to get involved." So ultimately, this leads to this bounty being on the Thing's head, and it makes sense as the plot progresses and everything. I love the pacing. I love the back and forth here. It was very organic. It told the story nicely. The art was fun and vibrant, yet you still got those moments of serious tone, like things slam the door in the guy's face and different things like that. So interesting story, and especially once you find out who put the bounty on his head, which you do find out by the end of the issue, or you assume that that's the case, and very interesting. direction that this is going, and I'm on board for this. I am excited to read a Thing miniseries, and yeah, it's been a long time since I've been able to say that. So great first issue, really enjoyed it, and I cannot wait to read the second one. Next up is Superman Unlimited issue number 1. This was a very anticipated comic. This is Dan Slott's debut in DC and on Superman. And, you know, the general plot of it that we had heard sounded pretty promising, was excited about it. And then I started reading it. So I'm going to give a caveat. It won me over by the end. We'll get there. But as I start reading this, I'm like, okay, let's see what he's going to do with Superman. And then almost immediately, it was very early on, it turned into what every like anniversary issue of any comic is, any anthology story. And this wasn't an anthology, but I'm using an example. Any celebratory kind of thing. It was, or anytime a new number 1 comes out, or a new movie comes out, or some new mini series based on this popular character, we're getting an origin story. And the way it was done here was Superman's life is flashing before his eyes, and so we're following every key moment throughout the course of his life, just like an origin story would. And that completely took me out of it, because it's like, this is Superman, and your debut on the character is to do what every other writer before you has ever done, and that is basically tell the origin of Superman. And it was just, okay, that took me out. I love the way it started. He rushes into action as Lois Lane has made this big deal for the Daily Planet. They're going global. The biggest expansion in the Daily Planet's history. It's, going social media, all this stuff. It's very exciting stuff. He rushes out because everybody else is in space. The Justice League needs him, and he goes to stop this meteor from crashing in to Earth. Lo and behold, as the description kind of gave away, it is full of kryptonite. So that's where his life begins to flash before his eyes, and we go into the history. So this was 90% of the book, if not more, was just flashbacks into his life, his friendship with Lex, his learning how to use his powers, his relationship with Crypto and his parents, and so on and so forth. It was just the same stuff that we've read a million times. And so that was disappointing. That was truly, truly disappointing. And it almost made me just put it down and be like, okay, this is what we're doing. I'll wait until issue 2. I'll at least try issue 2, because hopefully we'll be past that. But this is not what I wanted. However, by the end of the issue, we do get back into that main plot, and the repercussions of this big meteor full of kryptonite crashing into Earth has created a very interesting and very unique kind of status quo for the DC universe now, which it's a really interesting and cool idea to play with. And the way that he played with it in those last few pages really piqued my interest. So I am going to spoil this. So again, I don't think I have my spoiler graphic ready. I'll try to remember to put it in the video again like I did last time. But if you don't want to be spoiled on this book, if you haven't read it yet, definitely skip ahead until you don't see this cover image anymore. So I'm going to talk about the spoiler here. All right. So basically, after trying to keep this meteor from crashing into Earth, Superman passes out, slips into a coma. He's down for, I think it was like 3 months. It was a very long time. When he wakes up, kryptonite has spread all across the area that it crashed in. And because of that, it made one nation, like one of the richest nations on the planet, because they become the sole source for kryptonite, and now kryptonite is used like any other rare metal throughout all of technology and all kinds of ways of life, so much so that it is normal for the super people, Supergirl, Superboy, etc., to have injuries, to have broken arms, to have scrapes and burns and gashes and so on and so forth, because kryptonite is at play, and anyone with enough money, with enough resources, anyone can get a hold of it now. It is free reign. There's so much of it. But Superman himself is impervious to it because he got transformed thanks to this, him holding on to it for so long. We don't know exactly how yet, but very interesting. So I really like where the story's going. I just wish we didn't have to relive the origin story of Superman for the most part of this issue to get there. All right, so spoiler over. I apologize for that, but I really wanted to talk about that. We'll definitely be talking about this one on Comic Book Weekly, but that's kind of how I feel about it. I am excited for it going forward. Just a little disappointed about that big chunk of the middle of this issue. But that's all the recaps I have. So we're going to get into a couple of honorable mentions, and then we'll get into those first. All right, so the first honorable mention, just for people that follow these, that have fun with these, this is the next What If with the Disney characters and Marvel. This is Marvel and Disney. What if Donald Duck became Iron Man? So that's kind of a fun concept. It's a weird one to put in the armor. At the same time, it kind of makes sense. He is the probably the most arrogant Disney character there is. So that could be interesting to play with a little bit. So if you're a fan of these books and want to check it out, there you go. And then the other shout out is also from 90s cartoons, Gargoyles Demona issue #1. If you've been enjoying the Gargoyles main series from Dynamite, this is a spinoff all about Demona. This is let's see, we'll say 1,000 years of adventure begins here after kicking off with a special prologue story in the free comic book day issue. Yada yada yada. Return to the Dark Ages in the aftermath of the destruction of Castle Wyvern. We're in the year 1093, and immortal Demona is lonely and hunted. So that's kind of where we're picking up. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but that is where we're at with this one. Obviously written by Greg Weisman with art by Frank Power, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Anyway, if you're a big Gargoyles fan, and if you've been enjoying the series over at Dynamite, check this one out. I fell off of it. It was, I don't know, it just wasn't what I expected, so I haven't been keeping up with it. So that's why it is on the honorable mention list. But that's all of the honorable mentions, so we're going to jump into those first. All right, first up is Absolute Wonder Woman issue #8. This is one of 3 books that are not technically first issues in this one. This is a brand new story arc, and we are returning to the original artist on the book, which I prefer the artist that took over for the couple of issues, but this is the artist that started this book, so if you're a fan, definitely check it out. But this is As My Mother's Made Me Part 1. So we are in the aftermath of the whole Tetracide issue thing and all of that. And now there's this mysterious Area 41 and a black box maze that will test Diana and give her greatest test yet. And it says what we will find inside will shock us. So that's interesting. I love a good mystery. The art style is not my favorite. That's just my personal preference. But I do like a good mystery. And this book is slowly but surely finding its footing, I feel. So, yeah, it could be good. I'm going to give this one a potentially good. And hopefully it will exceed my expectations and I'll really enjoy it. Next up is Mr. Terrific Year 1 issue #1. And this is the secret origin of it calls it Summer's breakout superhero, Mr. Terrific. So the story behind Mr. Terrific is interesting here because if you read through the whole description, it kind of connects into what happened to Darkseid. So we go back in time and we kind of find out like what happened to him that turned him into Mr. Terrific and all this stuff. He loses his wife and his son. He retreats. He sells his company. Uh, This domino effect occurs that kind of makes things worse before they get better, which ultimately turns him into a hero. But then it kind of connect what something in his past connects to present day with the research that he's putting into what happened to Darkseid after the DC All In special and all that, and it comes full circle in a way. So I think that's interesting to play with that a little bit. I'm not familiar with the creative team here. It's Al Letson and writing, and Valentine De Landro on art. Also Edwin Galman on art. So I'm not familiar with any of them, but does sound like an interesting concept, and I am invested in the whole dark side story. Um, so I might have to try this just because of that. So that's interesting. So I'm gonna give this one a potentially good, and yeah, we'll see what it's all about. Next up from Mad Cave is The Pale Knight, issue number one. We are in the year 1349. There's this knight who returns from war to find his whole land ravaged by the Black Death, and his son is dying, and he prays to God to save his son, but it's not God who answers, it's death, and death is willing to cut him a deal. So this is written by Peter Milligan with art by Val Rodriguez. So Peter Milligan, I believe, wrote Static X, back in the day. Um, Written a lot of stuff, obviously. But if you're a fan of Peter Milligan's writing, you might be into this if that concept sounds good to you. I do like medieval stuff. I like supernatural stuff. This has elements of both. That cover art is gorgeous. I don't know if that's the interior artist or not, but it's an interesting enough concept. I don't know if I'm going to pick this one up or not, but I would be curious about it. I might definitely flip through it and see if it's my thing or not. So I'm going to give it a possibly good, but yeah, it definitely has it has something there. So that one is from Mad Cave, and it's a $4.99 book. Next up from Image Comics is a book called Dark Honor, which I totally covered the title there. Sorry about that. There we go. Dark Honor issue number one. This is written by Ethan Sachs with art by also co-written by K.S. Bruce and Brian DeCubulis with art by Fico Azio. I really like Fico Azio's artwork, so that's already a plus for it. But this is takes place in 2020 during COVID. COVID is ravaging the world. For almost 100 years, this group called the 100 have been ruling the New York underworld, and now there's kind of an uprising. A criminal mastermind is taken over in the wake of COVID-19, and the daughter of the leader of the 100, Rain, has to kind of unite everyone, or they're going to lose it all. So if you're not traumatized by COVID and you can read a story taking place there and having effects there, if you like crime stories and that kind of thing and you like good art, you might want to check this one out. For this one, I'm going to give it a potentially good, and yeah, I might check this one out because it's interesting enough. I do like those kind of stories and everything. It just depends on which direction it goes, and how the pacing and how the writing and everything is, how it all works together, whether it's going to be for me or not. So we shall see. Okay, this next one is interesting. So this one is called The Future is Blank, which negative connotation in there, right? Issue one, it's a graphic novel. It's 100, I think it's 104 pages. Yeah, 104 pages for $13.37. Odd price there. But this is written by Fred Van Lente, and this was a book on Kickstarter. So I am going to let's see if I can. I'm going to stop that one. I'll share it again in a second, but I'm going to share the Kickstarter here real quick. That took place last April, or ended last April, I believe. So here is the Kickstarter, which raised $72,563, funded in minutes. So incredible campaign. And you can see a preview of the art here. So if you want to check it out, just search for this title on Kickstarter. You can read more about it there. So it was kickstarted, and now it is in the direct market. So let me bring up the cover again. So this is by Recca Publishing, which is Hacker backwards. Um, I'm not familiar with them. This is the first time I've heard of them. I missed this Kickstarter completely, but it is interesting. There was these hacker wars. The Black Hats one. If you know anything about hack speak, if you've seen movies about it and stuff, Black Hat are a group of hackers, and now the world is turned upside down, and somebody's got to save us from this rogue band of quote digital Ronin freebooters and hackers. So we got to fight against a world ruled by data barons and artificial overlords and technological terrorists and so on and so forth. And the description goes into character descriptions of different things, the mission at hand. This self proclaimed visionary Roanoke. There, it gives you some key selling points and all that stuff. It's interesting, and there's a lot put into this. There's a lot of thought put into this, but here's the thing. I'm a big fan of Fred Van Linte's writing style. I really like the way that he handles characters and plot progression and pacing and everything. I feel like it's a very balanced, very familial kind of vibe that he puts forth in his books. The characters feel real to me when I read Van Linte's work more times than not. So, and I don't know how easy it's going to be able to find this book and all that kind of stuff. So just putting it out there because, it's an indie publisher. And I don't think it's, put through a larger publisher. It doesn't say that here on the League of Comic Geeks. So I would assume not. But still, I'm going to give it a promisingly good just because it's Fred Van Linte. And Taylor Esposito is lettering it, which, that's a name you probably see a lot in your lettering credits. Art is by Ennio Buffy with colors by Andrea Maloney. So I'm not familiar with those two. But yeah, so very interesting book. Promisingly good for me. Don't know if I'll be able to find it, but there it is. Next up from Image Comics is Mommy Blog, issue number 1. Now, this one is right up my alley. I love this kind of comic. This is written by Marguerite Bennett, who I'm a big fan of as well. Did Witchblade, did a bunch of stuff, obviously. And also the art is by Eleonora Carlini, who did Captain Marvel and Vicarious. So if you're a fan of that art style, already a leg up there. So this is kind of following stuff like what was the name of that show? There's a show that Kaylee Cuoco did on Peacock, where she was they did a podcast about serial killers and that kind of thing. So she was stay at home. She was about a mother to be, and she was determined herself to kind of find the serial killer and all that stuff, and bring them to justice and all that kind of thing. And then things go crazy and haywire all from there. So this is kind of in that vein a little bit. It's a black comedy, and it's about this social media super mommy who in her gated community, all these children are starting to go missing. So she's trying to protect her own and using all her motherly skills that she's learned to kind of use them to track down this killer. And things go bad, they get bloody and all this stuff. So just kind of off the wall, outside the box, kind of zany. Another one that I could think of that this might be similar in vein of is a new show called Lisa and I've been watching it, the Gross Garden, something like that. I can't think of the name of this show. What is the name of this stupid show? I like this show. I don't want to call it Gross Point Garden Society. That's what it's called. With Anna Sophia Robb and stuff. I like that kind of stuff from time to time. This seems like one of those kind of things. Images put out a lot of books, in this similar vein. This is from the Ninth Circle. I guess it's an imprint. So yeah, it's horror. It's zany black comedy horror by top creators in the game, and I'm here for it. It sounds right up my alley. So I'm looking forward to this one. I'm going to give it a promisingly good, and yeah, can't wait to read that first issue, which is 48 pages for $5.99. Heading over into the mainstream, we have Giant Size X-Men issue number 1. just in time, as it says here, for the 50th anniversary of the original Giant Size X-Men. This is from superstar artist Adam Kubert with Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly at the pen. So again, another top-notch team. This one's all about Miss Marvel though, and she gets pulled back in time, so it is a time travel story to witness the origin of the Uncanny X-Men. She also visits Krakoa for the first time and gets a unique perspective there. She's also dealing with the conflicted identity between her mutant self and inhuman self, and her culture and her background and her religion and all this stuff that's going on in her world and in her mind, and she's going to be dealing with that and gaining new perspectives throughout this. This is a 48-page book for $4.99, and it's the first of 5 giant size one shots. So it could be interesting. I do really like the creative team involved here. I do love Miss Marvel, and we don't see enough of her. Funny enough, because she was everywhere not that long ago. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one a potentially good though. I'm gonna hedge my bets a little bit on this one, just because of the type of story it is. When you're dealing with time travel and you're dealing with a one shot, and I don't know. I don't know exactly how this is gonna go. So I'll play it safe with potentially good for this one. Also from Marvel, we have Venom Original Sin issue number 1, and it's all about Eddie Brock making some kind of mistake or decision. Let's see. He wanted to go back to use that power to go back in time when Peter Parker wore the symbiote and fix a terrible moment in his past. Unfortunately, once he does this, it causes a ripple effect. So we're basically splintering off into an alternate timeline here. It's kind of a what if story. And I don't know that this will have any impact in the main continuity, but it could be a fun story nonetheless. It is a 56-page book for the whopping price of $6.99, so be aware of that. This is written by Steve Orlando, though, who I'm a big fan of. I really like Steve Orlando's writing, with art by Matt Horick and Scott Koblish. I am familiar with Scott Koblish, not so much the other artists, so not sure there. So I'm going to give this one a potentially good as well, just because I don't know what to expect from this one. All right, now we have 2 books from the Energon Universe. First up, Void Rivals, issue number 19. We are telling a standalone story of Skuxoid. He's become a fan favorite breakout character within this universe, and it's through Skuxoid that we got introduced to the Quintessons. Is that how you pronounce it? I'm trying to remember. Quintesson. I can't remember how you pronounce their names. Anyway, we got introduced to them. I think that's how we got introduced to Hot Rod as well. Maybe. I know we got introduced to a few characters through him. So we're going to be introduced to even more now, because we are going to get our first appearance of Wreck-Gar and the Junkions in this issue that is all about Skuxoid. And that's why it's on this list, because it is a standalone tell and it has first appearances. So if you are a Void Rivals fan, or if you're more importantly a Transformers fan, you definitely want to check out this issue. For me, I'm going to give it a positively good, because I love every single issue of Void Rivals. I think it's a fantastic series. And, it's tied into 2 of my favorite franchises of all time, Transformers and G.I. Joe. So there you go. And last but far from least, of course, me and G.I. Joe. Just look at my background. G.I. Joe number 7, which is also a standalone issue. It is a Night Force covert op, and we are getting our first appearance of Beachhead, the iconic G.I. Joe character that you see there on the cover. And it says, but is this really his last mission? The new G.I. Joe epic starts here. So we are A, getting a standalone story, B, getting a first appearance of Beachhead, C, getting the start of a new arc. So I'm super excited about this. Positively good for days on this one. And I'm excited to see more G.I. Joes come into play. And I want to know where the story goes from here. So all on board for G.I. Joe. And of course, that's it for our first. So I'm going to talk about a few other books as usual. So let's pop them up there. We've got Feral, issue number 13, mentioned Tony Fleeks earlier in the show. Obviously, writes this as well. We're heading into the pet supply store, and it looks like the perfect place to survive the rabies and all this stuff. But of course, anytime they find a new location, there's something deadly waiting for them. So I can't wait to see what the next deadly thing is for Feral. New Champions issue number 5. I may be one of the handful of people that enjoys this book, but I actually do like this book. I like the cast of characters and everything. Amaranth comes back to help them with some magical stuff. A romance starts to bud, but not everybody's happy about this, and it could cause some problems. So I'm here for that. I'm curious about it. Justice League Unlimited number 7. Yeah, they're fractured. They're tossed out through time with the Legion of Doom, seizing the Watchtower. Things are falling apart. Gorilla Grodd is on top of everything. So things are very chaotic for the Justice League. Just 7 issues in, and I love it. I love it's a flare of, not a flare. That's the wrong word. It's a touch of like classic, Justice League stuff with a little bit of new flair added to it. I just said it backwards. So yeah, I'm all here for it. Superman number 26. What happened with Lex and Mercy last issue created, quite, the issues in Metropolis and for Superman and for Lois and all this stuff. Yeah, so now Superman is possessed with red kryptonite and he's angry, and we're gonna have to see how that affects everything going forward as well. Green Lantern number 23. Hal is looking for this material. He goes to the depths of hell to find it, and that brings him face to face with the Spectre, who might just want him to take over his old job again. So I don't know how that's going to play out. Not sure that's what Hal wants or needs right now in his life. Then we have Uncanny X-Men issue number 15. We're still in the Dark Artery story. One of the new outliers has been taken hostage, and this voice of darkness is seeking a new home. So things are getting interesting for these new characters, which I like these new characters. I know they're either you love them or you hate them. I'm on the loving side, so we'll see how this one goes. And then Predator versus Spider-Man issue number 2. The first issue really surprised me. I'm not a big Predator fan. I'm not a big Predator Aliens fan. I don't typically get these kind of books that contain those characters, those crossovers. But I read the first one at Mike Spider Slayer's recommendation. It went a direction that he thought it might go. I thought that was interesting, and I really enjoyed it. I thought it was played out. It was structured really well. The story was told really in an interesting way. And yeah, now we have Mary Jane in trouble as illustrated on the cover of this issue. And yeah, so I don't know. It's really good. So check it out, whether you're a fan or not. If you're a Spider-Man fan, go check this one out. That's all I can say. I'm getting tongue-tied because, yeah, it's getting to the end and it's getting late. All right, so finally, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 17, Sinister Six versus 2 Spider-Man. That's what's going on, and Richard Parker is in the black suit. And yeah, so that's going to be interesting as we see the Spider-Man and Richard teaming up against the Sinister Six in this issue. Before I stumble over my words anymore, I'm going to wrap it up. I went through that pretty quick, I think. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and consider hitting that subscribe notification bell so you don't miss any of the content on the channel. And of course, you can follow me across social media at Only Good Comics, or type in onlygoodcomics.com to take you right back to this YouTube channel where we talk about only good comics. Until next time, thanks for watching. Take care. Keep reading those comics. Watch the season finale of Comic Book Weekly, and I'll see you soon.